Greetings and salutations, you stunning individuals. Yes, it is another episode of Flickr Online. Garrick and Mark here with you, fine feathered individuals. And man, feels like it's been a long time since we've had a T1 GenG matchup. What's it been, like 2 weeks?
This is like when you get served a real fancy steak dinner or something really amazing, and then, hey, you're having it again the next night. Oh, hey, a couple nights later, you're having it again. Here you go. I hope you like that meal. Tip your waiter on this one because, yes, GenG and T1 delivering once again another bonanza of a series for us, this time domestically in the LCK.
Yeah, I don't think anyone gets tired of that $100 surf and turf if it keeps coming back. But even getting the home ground, home court advantage for T1 in their debut for this round 3 action of the LCK. Obviously, GenG already beat up on Hanwha Life, but the perfection, it is purged. You can call it 27 series in a row if you're including EWC, but we're going back to February. We're talking 4 months. 4 months. We were still in winter with snow the last time GenG lost a series. And not only does T1 do it, but they do it in a reverse sweep, and they do it in kind of a throwback game with Aphelios Thresh in the bot lane for Guma.
Third time is the charm for T1. They get the revenge against GenG. I don't think this is going to carry the same weight as those other best of.
No championship quite on the line in week 1.
No, but a very important domestic win against GenG, which has been a very long time coming for not just T1, but for anybody to beat GenG at this point, as you laid out. And in that game 3, which is the crucial game of this series, you do have some big time performances, and specifically as you lay out that interesting bottom lane of Aphelios Thresh coming on through for Guma and Kyria. I think the Aphelios is obviously the much more interesting pick here. The Thresh is kind of just the accompanying option that gives him some extra safety, some mobility, these type of options that are provided to that bottom lane. But the Aphelios pick was one that I know people have been asking to see from Gumayushi when they've been looking at those series in depth, looking against GenG and looking at the drafts, picks and bans, what's available in these crucial games. A lot of people are going, you're really good on these champions, Aphelios, Kai'Sa. We've seen you perform on them before. It might not be the main 1 or 2 in your stable, but you got to be able to take that risk and pilot it in these big moments. This was a big moment, and he comes through on that Aphelios with some great play, great coordination alongside Kyria. But I don't want us to forget about Gragas, Doran in the top side. I think he played a really crucial role in this game, and especially some crucial moments, not letting the advantage, not letting the control of the game go over to GenG, where if they have that control, if they have any of these slight advantages, that composition they have becomes a lot easier, a lot more comfortable to pilot through these crucial moments of game 3.
Yeah, and I can't think of a time we've seen basically one play, that teleport interrupt, the dive to go up 2-0 in this game 3. I mean, T1 was in the driver's seat from there and never looked back. We're used to seeing GenG, okay, they fall behind, that's fine. We'll make that up quickly somewhere else. But T1 never let off the gas in game 3. I guess 27 series in a row makes you lock in to try and deny that perfect streak. But, I mean, kudos to T1 for winning that. And you mentioned Guma. We go back into game 2 with the Xayah pick. It was kind of back-to-back, basically hyper carries for Guma.
And I know Xayah has been, especially in comparison to where Aphelios is and some of these other options you can talk about, Xayah has been more so towards that forefront of the meta at this point in one of these type of options, and especially in the hands of Gumayushi. I think that is one of the biggest things that you see, in one of the major separating factors within that efficiency on this champion for other ADCs. For me, the biggest one, the placement and the timing of the pullback on the feathers. I think Guma is one of the best in the world at that, and you see that through this second game. But that's not the only bird that we're looking at in this game too. How about the Emperor of the Sands, the shifting sands himself, Azir, stepping on in for Faker? This was a big performance as well, as, and even more so for T1, looking in the faces of that game 1 loss to GenG, where you had this impressive wombo combo action popping off and really off to the races for them. So that response in this game too, the Azir, the Zaya for T1, really thought that this was a fantastic series. How spoiled have we been that we had those two best of fives over at MSI, and right back into it, we get delivered a matchup like this. You get to see the best in the world go at each other and push each other to their very limits. What a fantastic series.
How about in basically a month, not even a full month, we have 13 games head-to-head between these two. And again, we got to say, Disguised has played 20 games total the entire year. We've got 13 of just T1 versus GenG.
T1 has played 33 competitive games in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, so yeah, I think there is quite a bit of a difference when you're looking at these type of schedules, these type of experiences that you are gaining. Yes, one of the other factors is, as we have talked about with GenG specifically, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't extend to teams like T1 that are experiencing and going to these events as well, burnout. That will be something that we are going to be mentioning, talking about, trying to put on their radar as we move through this summer months towards the fall and the World Championship. Going to keep an eye out for both of these teams in that regard.
Start resting the players. The streak's over for GenG. You know, they're so far ahead for that first place finish, already clinched Worlds. I need at least 2 weeks off for these guys where they can kind of take a step back and throw in some of these subs. You did allude to the wombo combo, and that's the silver lining for GenG fans is this is probably the craziest wombo combo you'll see this entire split. We got a 5-man. You know how rare it is to get a 5-man Orianna ulti right into the Bard ulti, right into the Wukong, all hitting all 5 members. That was absolutely nutty.
It really is. It's the Faker's Shockwave finds them all. And maybe it doesn't have the significance, the importance, the drama of that type of moment, but absolutely that wombo of all these other ultimates, all these other abilities coming on through right on top of that 5-man Oriole. Yeah, that certainly was an ouchie type of moment for T1 and showcases exactly that coordination, that skill that you see that we love from GenG. Again, having these best of 5s throughout MSI, having this series here to start off in the LCK, it's so clear that these two are two of the very best, most competitive teams that you will ever see in League of Legends, let alone this year. But to look at both of them and to have these type of challenges really is just a treat for us as fans to get to see.
Yeah, and obviously it makes the LCK that much more scary that T1 can obviously contest and beat GenG. And now all of a sudden, fresh off a 2-0 against Hanwha, HLE's kind of sitting on the sideline like, guys, wait for me. The T1 GenG vote is leaving, and Hanwha Life's not on there right now.
And that's, you know, part of it is just due to kind of some recency bias that plays into these type of things. What have you done for me lately? What have I seen? All these type of things. But as well, it is just that factor of how impressive T1 and GenG have been, how much of exposure you've had to that on the international stage and getting to see those broadcasts and everything else. That, yeah, it is one of these situations where you are so impressed by T1 and GenG. You believe in them so much that it becomes hard to see that same type of path, same type of power from a Hanwha Life. But you do need to check yourself, because when you do talk about these players, you do realize when they are in their peak form type of thing together, that is when this is a Hanwha Life that is going to be one of those factors. And I am not ready to write them off for that type of form, that type of power just yet in the LCK.
Absolutely have the ability to level up to that upper echelon and send a 3-headed, actually terrifying dragon for the LCK heading towards the World Championship. But obviously it takes away some drama of KT somehow miraculously ending the perfect run for GenG. But honestly, losing, not in heartbreaking fashion, Game 3 was pretty convincing, T1. If I'm GenG, I'm at least going, okay, the perfect run's over. We won the titles. This is the time for the streak to end and refocus for a title run again, and of course the World Championship.
I can see it going the other way, but I'm gonna go with this angle here for GenG, is that you are kind of thankful at this point that it was your opponent, your rival, your deepest challenge in T1 that is the one that throws you off of that perfect record. This isn't one of these cases where you had a sloppy day, an off day, or a surprising day from the bros or BNK Fearx. Someone's come through and done that option to you and taken away that perfection. This is someone that you know is at that ultimate level, that is that top tier type of challenge. And if they're good enough to rise up and end what was this unbelievable streak, then you tip your cap, you go back and you get back to work at it type of situation. Hopefully, back to work at it after a good, healthy breathing in and breathing out for the GenG boys.
And if I'm Guma, I'm going, okay, I'm going through the checklist here. Are you done benching me? Yes. Okay. Can I play these carry champions and not Senna Corki anymore? Yes. He should be getting 2 checks there from the T1 squad.
And I think it's become even more clear to me, and I know I'm going to be very upfront about this. I have bias in this one with T1 fandom and bias for Gumayushi as an individual here. But when you're talking about what he has proven since getting back into this lineup, being for this team, it solidified a lot of the things that I believed about him with this organization beforehand, that he is the player that I would identify to take that mantle, to take that leadership torch when Faker eventually decides to move on from the game. And however involved within the organization he would be, Guma is the one player that I can see being possible to lift that torch, to carry the shoulder of that weight and pressure that would be into that vacuum once Faker steps away. I don't think you can look at anybody else, even someone as amazing as Kyria or Owner on this lineup, and say the exact same things. And even looking at a potential like Smash, unless you think Smash is capable of being that next Faker type of level player, I would bet on Gumayushi, his loyalty, personality, all these type of things. And you are seeing the results of that trust, of that faith on Summoner's Rift right now with the rest of the T1 roster.
Yeah, it is that charisma and trash talk angle on top of the On the Rift product that Guma's been putting out for years now. So can't wait for this rivalry to keep going. They'll obviously be matching up multiple times in this round robin, but that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you. Absolute beauties. Thanks so much for hanging out. We'll catch you on that flippity flip.